2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 21st of September, and it's World Alzheimer's Day. And a big happy birthday to Bill Murray, Stephen King, Billy Porter, and Liam Gallagher.
7.
First, the good news from Business Secretary Kwasi Kwarteng.
There is absolutely no question, Mr. Speaker, of the lights going out or people being unable to heat their homes.
He was responding to the unfolding energy crisis, which has seen gas prices rise and 4 smaller energy providers collapse, with more expected to follow in the next few days. We consumers are protected by the government's energy price cap, even though wholesale gas prices have risen by 250% since January and by 70% since August. It's partly fueled by increased demand as economies open up again, and while the government has pledged to keep the price cap in place, Kwasi doesn't sound too sympathetic towards the struggling providers.
The government will not be bailing out failed companies. The taxpayer should not be expected to prop up companies which have poor business models and are not resilient to fluctuations in price.
With electricity prices due to rise by up to 12% in October, Shadow Business Secretary Ed Miliband urged the government to review the proposed universal credit cut.
If he really wants to put consumers first, if he really wants to help working people, if he really wants to tackle fuel poverty, isn't it time, even at this late stage, to cancel this terrible decision on universal credit?
There were 36,100 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday and 49 additional deaths. The UK started its booster campaign with a focus on over 50s and vulnerable groups, while vaccines are also now being given to 12 to 15-year-olds, with 3 million kids eligible for the jab. There was good news too from a new Pfizer study that showed the COVID-19 vaccine is safe for use in smaller doses for kids aged between 5 and 11. Former White House COVID czar Brett Girard welcomed the news on CNN.
I'm sure that the FDA advisory committee will be weighing the risk-benefits. We know there are lots of cases in children, but the risk of dying is still very, very low, so that risk-benefit is going to be very important to be weighed. But no doubt about it, this is great news.
But even as booster shots are rolled out, there are renewed calls for the UK to donate more vaccines to those in the developing world. Former Prime Minister Gordon Brown's been doing the maths.
Even if we set aside enough vaccines for all who need them, we still have millions of vaccines left over. If we don't airlift them to Africa and elsewhere, it could be 200 million, and that is an excess above all the other vaccinations that we still want to see happen in the United Kingdom.
The world's leaders are gathering in New York for a UN General Assembly, which will focus on the pandemic and vaccines. And in advance of the summit, there was good news from those hoping to travel to the US this winter, as Transport Secretary Grant Shapps explains.
I can confirm to the House today that vaccinated Brits will be able to travel into the US from early November, reciprocating the policy that we introduced this summer.
One Brit who's already in New York is Boris, and he's trying to line up a consensus on climate action in advance of Glasgow hosting the COP26 summit next month.
I think that Glasgow COP26 is a turning point for the world, and it's the moment when we have to grow up and take our responsibilities. People should be optimistic because we can make these changes whilst encouraging the creation of literally millions of high-wage, high-skill jobs.
The Canary Islands are more usually associated with lounging on a beach, but the last few days have seen extraordinary sights as the Cumbre Vieja volcano exploded on Sunday night, spilling lava down its slopes and setting fire to houses in its way. It's the first eruption in over 50 years, and this local man can't believe the noise it created.
It sounds like, 20 fighter jets, and it's extremely loud.
Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has cancelled his New York trip, instead flying to the scene and offering any assistance required to safely evacuate those in the lava's path.
We're very mindful of the fires that can break out after these eruptions, so we've deployed not just the Civil Guard, National Police and forest firefighters, but also the military's emergency unit. I also want to recognise the work that the Red Cross are doing, feeding and looking after those who have been forced from their homes.
Still to come on the Smart 7, golf gets ready for this weekend's Ryder Cup, and BBC weather queen Carol Kirkwood is at it again. Right after this.
You're listening to The Smart 7. If you're enjoying it, you might also like the Smart 7 Ireland edition. Just search and follow us on your favourite podcast platform. This weekend sees golf's biggest team event, the Ryder Cup, take place in the US at Whistling Straits in Wisconsin. It's another major sporting event that was to have taken place in 2020, and it sees the US take on the best of Europe's golfers over 3 days. Europe's captain Paul Harrington is fairly confident ahead of Friday.
You know, we're well prepared at this stage, but as you know, it is the Ryder Cup, so I'm sure there's going to be a few things that happen that throw up a few complications, or, you know, that is what it is. You know, whatever comes at us, even the unknowns, we should be able to deal with.
Sunday night's 73rd Emmy Awards created some truly remarkable moments. Conan O'Brien joined Stephen Colbert on stage, Cedric the Entertainer coordinated a tribute song which featured Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks' wife, rapping, and an eager reporter asked Emmy-winning actress Gillian Anderson this slightly awkward question about her part in The Crown. Yes, Miss Anderson, did you talk to Margaret Thatcher about this role? Gillian kindly declined to mention that Maggie died in 2013.
I have not spoken to Margaret.
Michaela Cole made history as the first black woman to win an Emmy for Best Writing for her show I May Destroy You, and she delivered a powerful speech dedicating her award to survivors of sexual assault.
Write the tale that scares you, that makes you feel uncertain. Do not be afraid to disappear and see what comes to you in the silence. I dedicate this story to every single survivor of sexual assaults. Thank you.
There's a special place in heaven for TV's weather presenters, and the queen amongst them is BBC Breakfast's Carol Kirkwood. She famously managed to mention dogging live on Breakfast in 2020, and on Monday she once again brought dogs and live weather together as she was literally pulled over by an overeager canine companion called Flash.
I think Flash has just spotted a tree. Look, she's gone. She's gone.
We've got a Kirkwood down. We've got a Kirkwood down. Someone save Carol.
Flash,
Are you okay?
Are you right?
Yes, she's a very strong girl, Flash.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.